welcome to EV Studio Oslo. If you hear this, your sound is doing wonderful. If you see me, the picture is fine. We're going to start anytime now, so stay tuned. And we're live at EVS35 for the last time today, and I'm so disappointed because there is so much information we have to convey, but we're going to talk about it later. This last one is packed with a lot of different things. So we're going to start with the best EVs of the show. You're going to see that in a minute. Then we're going to talk about the scientists, all the research which is being done, because this was originally a research conference. Then we're going to talk about aviation, because a lot is happening in battery-operated aviation. So it's really interesting. We have videos about batteries, and also we have about the Stint, which is a very famous mobile vehicle for all kinds of things. And I was really excited. We have an autonomous bus, really level 4, driving completely by itself, and we're going to take you away with that. We have a science panel for you, and then we have all the takeaways. So it's completely packed. We have a lot of things to do. But let's start with one thing which I think is really interesting for all the EV drivers, and that is all the big trends on EV vehicles in EVS, and that is 3 things. It's China, China, and Vietnam. Let's take a look. The MG5 is a very good car. It is a station car, which is unique. It has 71 kilowatt hour battery, and it sells for 35,000 euros. Let's take a look. Okay, it feels very solid. It has 2 screens. It's nice dashboard here. And yeah, I think the quality is really good. This is the company SAIC. It is a state-owned company, and it makes millions of cars also for BMW and Mercedes and Volkswagen. And the quality is pretty good. And for this price, it's an absolute win. And this is a station car. You have unbelievable amount of storage place. You basically put down the body behind, and you have all the space in the world. Unique for an electric car. And this is the MG ZS, which is exactly the same car as the 5. It just is a little bit shorter and a little bit different configuration, but also the same price, 34,000 euro. And of course, you have a tow bar, and so you can put all the bikes with you and still have a huge amount of luggage. Or you want it in blue? This is the Marvel, the MG Marvel. It is a much more luxurious car. It's better built, has a huge screen inside, and it sells for 38,000 euro. Great family car. And it's extremely comfortable. I have Bose speakers and an incredibly big sunroof. Okay, Martina, I'm going to show you a car, and within 3 seconds you have to say to me what you think about it. So this is the car, the Aura. Tell me what you're thinking.
Looks good, looks compact, looks cute.
Keep on telling me your opinion. So while you're going, people make up their opinion about a car in an incredible fast time.
To me it looks good, it's compact, it's comfortable, big steering wheel.
Yeah.
I like it so far.
And so if you could drive this car for 15 euro a day, would that be acceptable?
I think so.
So this is a new car from a company from China, and it's going to be introduced everywhere in Europe before the end of the year. They're going to ship 100,000 of these in Europe next year. 30,000 euros, 60 kilowatt hour battery, 350 kilometer range, and extremely comfortable. So this is a winner for EVS35. So here we are at Polestar, and for some kind of reason, Dave is in love with this car. What do you like about it?
Well, it's not too big, it's not too small. I like the black and white vibe. It's just the whole vibe.
And you could imagine you driving a car like that.
Yeah, I sure as hell see myself driving this. Yeah.
So enough luggage room?
Yeah, we can go on a road trip with 2 or 3 people.
Okay. So this car costs 55,000 euro, which basically means 20 euro a day. Would you imagine paying that?
I can see myself paying that, yeah. Not right now, but well, it's something to strive for.
Have you ever heard of VinFast? No, I have never heard of it. It is a Vietnamese company which is part of a bigger group which does all kinds of industrial stuff. They make ICE cars, but in 2022 they decided to do fully electric, and they announced 3 models. The VF9, which is a huge SUV. It comes with 90 or 120 kilowatt hour battery, and it starts at 60,000 euros. And this is the VF7. We do not anything about price or availability, but it's a smaller car and you cannot even open the doors. Everything here is concept. And this is the VF8. I like the color. It really fits my suit. And also a concept car, about 80 to 86 kilowatt hour battery, does about 6 seconds to 100. And coming to a market near you. Yeah, so that was wonderful. I really enjoyed all these cars. I'm standing here with Gil Tall, and he's from UC Davis. And you've been doing research on electric cars for the longest time. First, what did you think of the cars?
Oh, they're amazing. They're getting better every year, and there is no difference now between the quality of all these different manufacturing from all around the world.
Yeah. How did research develop in EV over the number of years? Can you give us an indication?
Yeah, it's changing so fast. 20 years ago, it was few people playing with electric cars, just trying. Then it's become, how do we sell the first one? How do we get to the first 5% of the market? How do we convince people that it's a real viable option?
Mm-hmm.
And this EVS now is the real change. When with light duty vehicles, the question is, how do we sell the last gasoline car? How do we sell 100%? How do we make people not even think about gas cars? Very different questions, much harder ones. We talk
Massive
about
ones, yeah,
we
massive
talk about
scale ones.
the
Yeah.
network, the grid, electrification, charging, and so on.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And do you think that the car manufacturers from Europe, you know, they were first had the Japanese coming to eat their lunch, and then they had the Koreans coming to take their lunch, and now there's China taking. Do you think they're more humble and more receptive?
I sure hope so for their own sake, because I think that the changing is happening anyway. It started with Tesla nimbling from the top. So
Yeah.
the high-end companies were losing market share, and they started to be worried. They started to take it more seriously. But now everyone needs to. Otherwise, they will all lose market share.
Yeah, that's true. You are also you are doing a lot in behavioral research. What kind of subjects do you investigate?
Yeah, that's correct. We are not studying so much the anodes and cathodes of batteries. What we are studying is people, individuals, households, and the 2 or 3 main topics we are studying is what kind of vehicles they are buying, when and where. Not just the first electric car a household buy, the second electric car the household buy, the used electric cars the household buy. What do they do when they sell their electric cars? So all of this market side. Then how do they use them? If only my car, your car, like husbands have his car, the wife has her car. That's a very different driving patterns than if they share it as needed.
Yeah.
And then the third thing, how do they charge the cars, and what do they need about charging?
Okay, so those are all extremely interesting questions. Can you share some of the outcomes with that? It surprised us how people react to electric vehicles.
How people react to electric vehicles. People would like electric vehicles to be seamless for them. They don't want to deal with deciding every day. Will I charge today? Is it 2 cents more? Is it 5 cents less? They
Yeah.
want cars to be as simple as possible.
And is that
Simplicity.
happening?
We are slowly getting
Mhm.
there. We scientists, we really like sophisticated pricing mechanism and so on, but the answer is simple and seamless. When it's come to charging infrastructure, it's need to be dependable. You don't need to think about it.
Yeah. So plug and charge is a very good development in that. You just plug it in and it's automatically calculated. You don't have to pay. It's just automatically done. Those kinds of things is what people want.
Those kind of things are great, and if you think of the future, a lot of our cars will have autonomous capabilities, so you will be able to buy a car that has some way to drive itself. I'm thinking about that will charge itself.
Mhm.
You will leave it in the driveway and it will do
Ah,
all
you
the
are
rest of
thinking
it.
already about a lot of scenarios which are only dreams for me. Okay.
We are the scientists like to dream 5 years forward. It's not
Yeah.
that far. Cars can do it today. It's make it as simple as possible
Yeah.
for
I
the
th-
driver,
I think it's
for
good.
the user.
Hey, how many consumers? Because you do research in America, right?
Most of our
Or do you
work is
also
in
come
America.
here to Norway where it's already the majority?
Exactly.
Now, do you do that too? You also do the Norway, or you do America?
No. What we are trying to do in our research is to follow the trend.
Yeah.
I'm not very good in telling the future.
Mhm.
What I'm good is seeing the changes and trying to figure out the change happening today and what will
Yeah.
happen tomorrow. So we are doing it in Norway because here the changes are very fast.
Yeah.
And we are trying to learn how things change here and then bring it back to the US, bring it back to the other places.
Acceptance of EVs. So how fast is it developing, and how do you see that difference between Norway and America?
Not there is no difference.
No difference.
No difference. So the main difference between Norway and America is supply.
Mhm.
People like EVs, and for many years they were trying to convince us, oh, they don't like them. It's not that they didn't like them. If you have big advertisement,
Yeah.
but you go to the supermarket and you're not stocking the shelves with the new products, doesn't matter that you have big
So
advertisements.
it's supply.
It's supply.
Yeah.
In Norway, the incentives are here for a decade, but the supply is growing, and with the growth of the supply, the market share grows.
Okay. So you think it will be everywhere? There's not a big problem if you have supply and good prices. Everybody will accept it all over the world.
That's what we learned from Norway. That's what we learned from many other places. People like these cars. If you will give them the option, it's not a problem.
That's nice that you have scientifically confirmed what I also was thinking about it. Last 2 minutes. What did you hear here at EVS35 in the scientific part of the conference that you go like, wow, that was interesting?
Oh, there's so many wows moments, and I heard so many
Give
good
me
things.
2 wow
So I will
moments.
try to give you two. One, and it's not one research, but it's a group of work that I've seen that showing that heavy duty is actually a viable. The total cost of ownership is positive, and it's going to happen faster than I ever thought before.
Uh-huh.
So that's
Amazing.
that's amazing to see how fast it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And the fact that it's going to be a viable business, so you don't really need to push it too much. We always like to give a good kickstart.
Yeah.
That was one thing. The other, with infrastructure, we always were looking for the silver bullet, what we Americans call this one solution. But I think that we are now learning that there will be different niche markets for charging, different solutions, and we start seeing a more maturing type of solutions for that. Mostly will be home charging while at home at night, and better options for these people, and some of the DC fast when we actually know better where to put them, how much they will be used. We don't need to guess anymore. These things are actually coming.
Okay. Professor Gil Tal from UC Davis, thank you very much for coming and sharing your insights with us.
Thank you for having me.
Wonderful. Okay, let's go to the next step. And that is basically, we were really happy here at the Dutch Pavilion because Rotterdam got a fantastic prize. And what kind of prize they got? Let's take a look.
We were surprised this afternoon because there was the eVisionary Award contest. And you know who won that contest?
The city of Rotterdam, of course. And I'm very proud that we won it.
You should be proud. It's an eVisionary Award, so I guess you're very visionary. Why do you think you won this one?
Of our visionarity, of course. No, I think because we did a great job in the electrification of many segments in the city of Rotterdam. What I'm most proud of and why is we started in our city. We, as Espen already said, we have a can-do mentality. We just started to try out with buses, and nowadays we have 100 electric buses in our city. We've got a big amount of private cars. We've got 4,000 public charging points in our streets. We've got a very big logistic team working on cleaning the logistics in the city for the zero emission zone, which is installed in 2025.
So it is into logistics, it's in cars, it's maritime, it's all. So I think we really deserve this one.
Thank you.
We Dutch are not very good at and being happy, like the Americans, they go, wow, and we so go, oh, thank you. But Rotterdam really deserved it. So next subject, we talked about cars, that's already done. Trucks, it's going to be huge. And then the next thing, which is really exciting, flying electric. And so I have three fantastic guests here. First, I have Silje Brandvol, and she's from Wildro, a company which is going to operate flights. And then we have Jan Bos from the NLR, the National the Space and Aerospace Center. Yeah. Everybody take their microphone.
The Netherlands Aerospace Center, Vincent.
Yeah, and third we have Richard Herman from the province of North Holland. We're going to discuss what's happening with this whole electric flying. Let me first start with Jan. Jan, can you tell me what is happening in this whole in the technology on electric flying?
Electric flying. That's an interesting question. What do we
mean by it?
What do we mean by it? So that's
always,
electric flying, full electric flying, and that's battery-powered aircraft. So that's what we're talking about. That's what we foresee now for the foreseeable future. Smaller types full electric aircraft, and then for the larger aircraft, we see a hybrid solution with hydrogen to propel those aircraft.
Yeah, and if we talk about light and small, how many people and what kind of distance?
It depends on the technology you use, but at this moment there are certified aircraft for 2 persons, and they have an endurance of about an hour.
Yeah.
And the next steps will be a bit more persons, 10 persons, till a range of about 500 kilometers.
Yeah, this is the one we're showing now. I flew it myself. It's pretty silent. Did a great job. It's only 180,000 euro or something like that, and a 24 kilowatt hour battery. Yeah. But I mean, if you talk about 2025, how many passengers and what kind of range are we talking about?
2025 is already quite close by, but I think that Wildro can tell me a bit more about what their ambitions are for electric flying.
Yeah, but from the technical point of view, what's possible?
I think that 500 kilometers, approximately 500 kilometers, with about 25 people will be possible in the near future.
I love that. And Silje, I mean, you have this. You're a regional player in the Norway, right? Or in Scandinavia. Maybe you can introduce your company for a second.
Well, Wildro is Scandinavia's largest regional airline. So we are by far the biggest airline in Norway when it comes to number of destinations. And then we do also have some international flights as well, mainly down to Central Europe. We fly to the UK, and we obviously fly intra Scandinavia as well. Yeah. So that is us. Yeah.
And what is your vision with electric flying?
Well, we decided back in 2018 that we were going zero because
in 2018 already.
Yes, we did, and the reason for that is that we have a pretty special network in Norway. It's called a short haul network where we have very short takeoff and landings, and we have these tailor-made aircrafts for that, and they're becoming of age and they're not being produced anymore. So we knew that by 2030, 2035, we needed to replace those aircraft. So and 2018 was a bit of a tipping point. So we had to decide, should we go with the existing technology, trying to adapt that into this very special operation, or should we try and find a new technology? And obviously when you looked at the way things were going with taxes, with fuel prices, and we knew that the price of CO2 emissions are not going to get cheaper. And then adding into that we actually do have to do something about the climate as well. Airline industry is not going to be allowed to emit.
So the vision for the long term is pretty good. When is your first flight going to operate?
If it goes as the producers have promised us, we will have our first commercial zero emission flight already in 2026, 2027. That is going to be a small aircraft, 9-seater. But
how many passengers?
9-seater, 9 passengers.
9 passengers, and the range?
And it can traffic as it looks. It can traffic quite a big part of our network.
500 kilometers
up to
or something.
So, at least 300 would be okay. And obviously it is a small aircraft, but it's some of the rural areas in Norway is not very dense populated, so we fit perfect for some of these routes.
Yeah. Okay. So we're really looking forward to that. Well, of course, we need the products, we need to have the airlines, and we also need to get permission. Can you, Richard, and tell us a little bit about how is that going? I mean, are all the countries excited about it? Are all the rules totally fit for electric, or do we need some change in that department too?
Well, I think you're going to see a lot of changes in that department, not just on the regulation side, but also on the energy infrastructure side, for instance.
Of course, also.
We need all the regional airports. If they want to start flying electric, we need charging infrastructure, we need the batteries there. So we're going to see a lot of changes in airport infrastructure that need to be developed and also be mandated by governments, right? So you're going to see a lot of things there. On the certification side, I think you see already a lot of developments to include electric aviation also on the aircraft certification side. So I think we're getting there, but it's going to require a lot of investment and a lot of changes to regional airports to be able to fly those electric airplanes.
And is everybody just jumping on the bandwagon and then starting to implement those, or is everybody looking at each other to basically spend the money to do that work?
I'm not exactly sure.
Jan, what do you think about that?
Yeah, there are, at this moment there are a lot of startups and grow-ups who start with electric flying. You have Hard Aviation, you have some Dutch initiatives. Urban air mobility. It's basically based on electric flying, shorter distances with less passengers on board. And so these small 2-seater aero vehicles. And so that's really a world of new innovation and new startups. So there are organizations and new initiatives on this.
And also airports, little airports, because I would just say, I think it's wonderful in front of me to see all these little airports. These big jets, there's about 300 places in the whole world where you can land them. They're big and huge and bulky, and they are massive. But these little ones, you have hundreds of these little airports. You can get much closer to the destination. That is, I think, a promise for electric.
There's a big opportunity for the smaller regional airfields in the Netherlands, but also in Scandinavia and other countries for accompanying these smaller types of air vehicles. So you don't need that much of a runway. You don't make your social acceptance should be high and no noise, no emissions. And then it will be possible. It needs to be possible to use those smaller regional airports.
Silja, you already have an airline like that. You have you have an incredibly dense destination network in Norway, and I think we could copy that in Europe. What can we learn from that? What percentage of people are using it? Is it only for very specific reasons, or is it already moving a lot of Norwegian people?
Well, obviously we haven't started yet.
But I mean, now the current network.
Yeah. Well. Our current network is obviously is all about mobility. You know, in out in the rural part of Norway, you know, the regional airline is the bus. That's what you get because you don't have any trains, you don't have any alternatives. That being said, I think it's incredibly important that the rest of Europe come on board on this project because, you know, to be fair, even though if we replaced all our aircrafts with an electric aircraft, that wouldn't be enough. It wouldn't be a big enough market for the producers to actually put in the research and the money to get this new technology to the market. So we need a much bigger market, and Europe is tailor-made for that. Europe is all made up of regional flights all over. And can you imagine, you know, if we, instead of building 3 more Eurotunnels, instead we can start flying over the channel without any emission at all. Then we're talking about cutting emissions and also solving the mobility of Europe.
Yeah, because I think the opportunity is pretty large actually.
Absolutely.
I hear that if we talking about 2030, half of the movements inside Europe could be done with an electric plane. So so to go from Berlin to Amsterdam and to Paris and all these things, it's actually quite a big opportunity. Isn't that true?
It is a big opportunity, but we have to look at the way of mobility. What kind of mobility model we implement?
Okay.
And so for the longer distances, electric flying is still a challenge.
Yeah.
But you will probably see smaller aircraft with electric powered for a longer distance.
This is just replacing what is there now. Let's talk about some futuring thing. Of course, I'm looking forward to have a drone with 2 people, autonomous, flying around and basically drop shipping me, you know, in the middle of the city. Richard, I mean, is that already in the legislation that I can go autonomously over a city and basically be very specific with vertical takeoff and drone kind of planes?
The short answer is no. No, unfortunately.
Okay.
So no, you can't do that at the moment. But companies are developing that sort of eVTOL aircraft, and of course everybody's looking at these developments and seeing how they can regulate and implement those. Those
autonomous little drones basically dropping me. Is that technology-wise? When will those products be available? You see them always as concept cars. Planes.
Technology is there. I mean, especially for bringing goods and packages from places to places. We are working on projects with to bring offshore, to use drones and unmanned vehicles to drop offshore packages. To save the helicopter time. So those initiatives are already there, and the technology is available for that.
That's all. The technology guys always say that. So I will be on your plane in 2025 or 2026 on your electric plane. I'm looking forward to that.
You're more than welcome.
Yeah, okay. Well, thank you very much. This is a subject we will revisit, because, you know, just like with trucks, we've been talking about it forever, and now it's happening. And I think with planes, you know, it will be the same thing. Thank you very much for coming.
Can I give you a gift?
Yeah.
Zero emission.
Flying.
That's for you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Vincent.
Okay. One thing we need for these e-flights is big batteries, which are very lightweight and have an incredible density. Let's take a look what the trends are in the battery department. Let's talk about batteries. Where are we now in the production of batteries worldwide?
Globally, it's about 1,000 gigawatt hours we're producing today, and it's going massively up. This is a famous hockey stick.
Yeah. So in 2030, how much will it increase? Factor?
Factor 10, 15 at a minimum.
Where are they produced at the moment?
Vast majority is by China, of course, Japan and Korea. And a bit of Europe and America.
What is Europe doing in battery production?
A lot. So we are catching up mode. There's a lot of initiatives. So by 2030, we in Europe alone will have 1,000 gigawatt hour production capacity, or even higher. We might even end up with slide over capacity.
So we won't have a shortage.
Well, in Europe, we won't have a shortage on gigafactories, but maybe on minerals and materials we'll need to see. And also the demand might even pick up faster than we think.
On the demand side, what percentage is EV of the whole demand for batteries at the moment? and at the moment?
Today it's about half, but that's also rapidly increasing, so it will be the vast majority going forward, say 70%, bit of trucks and stationary, but the vast majority will be EVs.
If we look at the Netherlands, you're here with a bunch of battery companies. What are they doing? What are the names?
So you have Veer, Good Move, Delft IMP, ourselves of course, and we're all part of the battery value chain, and we bring on the innovative ideas to accelerate this transition we are in the midst of. At the Netherlands we provide the knowledge and the infrastructure to actually make the EV transition possible. It's a sustainability aspect which is very important, and we need to do more with less, and that's where Delft IMP can help, because we apply nano coatings which can actually make the battery better.
How much interest is there for the Dutch knowledge here at the EVS35?
Quite a bit. So, for instance, we had the Ministry of Transport from Germany over to the Dutch site yesterday. It's a good promotion for the Netherlands in European and global context, actually.
Yeah. So you're happy the way we have a booth here and the amount of attention and the way it was organized? You're happy about that?
I'm excited about it because it brings everything under the orange umbrella, our knowledge, and we come across as very connected, and together it's 1 on 1 is 3.
Wow, so that is wonderful. We have enough batteries. Even we'll have an excess battery capacity of 50% in 2030. So that's really good news. Okay, I'm talking here with Edwin Rensen from Mobilitum, and you're a manufacturer of small electric mobility for the transport and small transport and the cargo session. Hey, can you tell me a little bit about your company? How long have you been in business and what do you create?
Yes, we're a designing company, so engineering company, and we build light electric vehicles. Started in the Netherlands, up there for 12 years now. Some experience. We have produced over 5,000 units.
Yeah.
And well,
yeah, you're the future. You're the future of the cities. Let's take a look at their newest model, which you've created now for the European market. I'm here in Nijkerk, the Netherlands, and I'm at Mobiliton, the factory of Stint. They have come up with a complete new model, a light electric vehicle, especially for cargo, and it's going to be a very interesting new model. I'm going to drive it and hear all about it. Edwin Rensen, Mobilitum. I understand the Stint 2.0 is here.
Yes, they are here. 2 models. We have the cargo over there and the pickup over there. We took all experiences from the last 10, 15 years, put it in the vehicles. Not going to the EVS, but yes, they're
not at EVS. Why not at EVS?
They need to be homologated.
Okay, so we are not with the Stint 2.0 in Oslo because it needs to be tested for the whole European market.
Yes, it is.
Okay, so that's good news.
It's exciting news.
Let's take a look at the models. We have 2 nice different models. What are the specs of these?
75 kilometers range, 50 miles, which is more than a day's work for these kind of vehicles. Speed 19 kilometers an hour, also perfect for Germany under the 20 kilometers an hour. I have a payload of 250 kilogram. Well, the length is 2 meters and 40 centimeters, so the width is 1 meter, so it's not taking too much space. We want to keep it small and we want to add to the city.
Let me see. It's protected. Is it locked up? Is there a lock so you can protect it?
Yes, and then there's a keyless lock, so when you walk away and it closes automatically. So everything is protected. If you look at this one, this is open and this is really for parcel post deliveries, last mile logistics. But if we build in like racks to put in your machinery, to use your materials, your tooling, then you can use it for service as well.
What's the difference in economics between using something like this and a car?
Well, in a city center like Amsterdam, you can, we have customers and they plan 50 kilometers based on maps, based on cars usage. But in fact, we did it with 8 kilometers to do the same routing because we don't have to drive around. We can access everything. We don't have to do the one-way street thing, etc.
With a car, you need to drive 50 kilometers around the city. And with this, you do 8 kilometers. It's way more effective to deliver with something like this than with a car.
Yes, it is. In city center.
This is a completely different design. Of course, the same model. What's the purpose for this one?
Anything in the green in the city, keeping it clean. But you can also use it to stack in machines. So there's a Euro pellet size. If you have a machine, you put it in and you can defrost streets, de-ice it, and clean windows. So we have people in Ghent working with window washing machines inside this kind of material instead of combustion engines going through the city center. So anything goes.
So they're economically, why are they economically? Because they're faster, because they're cheaper to buy, because parking issues?
Yes, all of them. If you go outside, if you go to industrial zone, take a big truck. But in city centers, we're the fastest.
Yeah. If you look at the capacity of you building the amount of vehicles here, what kind of capacity you have here in Nijkerk?
Last year we worked on 3,000 units annually. But that's only 8 persons. So if we go to 16 person, then we have 6,000. So by the 8. So, and I think the max capacity at this facility will be around 15,000 annually.
But then you'll do multiple factories all around Europe.
It's scalable.
You basically used this crisis you went through to basically make a complete new version. And now you have a big, huge European market. What do you think of the future of your vehicles?
Bright and green. I think it's coming. Yeah, light electric vehicles is really a solution, and not only for us. I think for everybody who's doing the light electric vehicle thing. And I hope that they approach it like we do. We want to be part of the city. The smaller we can keep it, the better, the more livability in the city, the most efficiency will come out of it.
Future's bright?
Bright and green.
Yeah, the future is bright and green. But there's one thing I was really stuck by. You said in the movie that I think DHL had a tour around the city to basically deliver a number of packages. And with a car, it took 40 to 50 kilometers. And then you did it with the Sting. How much kilometer did it take then?
Well, in fact, it was 8 kilometers. And it was PostNL when we first started, replacing vans by our vehicles.
Yeah.
Because they used the regular system to plan the routing, and not a bicycle one, which was not available in 2015.
Of course, yeah.
For these kind of thing. Well, we hit it 5 times, 5 times 8 kilometers.
Yeah, so that is unbelievable. And that is just because you can take small roads inside the center and you don't have to go around, and it's faster. You don't have so much gridlock, and is that the idea?
Yeah, and also if you have an express delivery, you don't have to take the whole route and start over again because of the one-way drives, etc. You can just crisscross across the city. So,
yeah. So this is actually but then the fact that they're a little smaller and you have to go back to base to recharge with the packages. That's easy to make up with efficiency.
Yeah, well, it's something we're working on because I think that's exactly the thing you need to work on. But to start with, it was efficient enough, and now it must be far more efficient.
It must be far more. Okay, and then also you will be helped because a lot of the big cities are saying, hey, big trucks are not allowed anymore. You know, first, of course, zero emission vehicles are necessary, but also these big trucks. Everybody with big trucks inside the center is completely unacceptable.
It's not livable.
It's not livable. And
we need a livable city.
Yeah. So how big will this you're part of a movement. There's a lot of companies like yours. You're the biggest one in the Netherlands. How big will this become in say, for example, cargo, in logistics?
I think very big because, big in being small.
Yes.
We really need very much small solutions, dedicated solutions for certain processes.
And this one fits. Where does this fit?
This fits for Ziggo, Vodafone, to also do the connections at people's houses.
Yeah.
PostNL, DHL, GLS for doing last mile delivery,
which is huge. These packages are expanding like crazy. Okay.
Coming in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this must be a big market. What kind of other markets do you deliver your product to?
Municipalities, councils, greenkeeping, city cleaning, because it's small and you can go in the pedestrian zone. So you can take out the garbage while everybody is walking. We did SEAL and other big events, Floriade at this moment. So it's really to be close to people.
Yeah. And you in the Netherlands, how far ahead are you? How many competitors do you have in Europe?
Well, I don't see it as competitors, but there
people
are
to help you with your mission.
yeah, they're doing the same thing.
Yeah.
So we are quite the only one, but you see a lot of bicycles, cargo bikes
yeah.
also.
And what's the difference between these cargo bikes, which I see everywhere, and yours?
Well, if you cannot do it with a cargo bike anymore, come to us.
Why? Because
we have a bigger payload. We're more sturdy. The cargo bike is great to 120 kilometers.
Yeah.
If you go over the 120 kilogram,
Yeah.
then you need something more.
Okay. Well,
So we're not competing, but we're the next step.
you're the next step. You're so inclusively thinking. Okay, we're gonna come back to you to basically talk about what we think here about our booth and the way it has worked here. But first, we're going to take a look at something which I find extremely wonderful, and that is I'm really crazy about autonomous. I think that is really the next step. And I found an autonomous bus level 4 here, which completely drives 15 kilometers of bus project itself. And let's take a look at that demonstration. Electric bus with autonomous level 4. That's what we've been dreaming for a long time. And we have one here from Attac, together with Adestec as the software supplier. They promised to take us and to basically on a road to do a bus stop and do it fully autonomous. It's an electric bus, and we're going to take a look how well the software is doing. So in order to operate an autonomous level 4 bus, you need a lot of sensors, and they did not save money on that. So there's a LiDAR over there. There's a LiDAR over here, there's a LiDAR over here, and there's 2 in the back. So there's 5 LiDARs, and then there's 3 RGB cameras, there's infrared cameras, so there's all kinds of acoustic sensors all around, so there's a whole bunch of sensors. How many products have you shipped this time?
Well, we have first deployment in Michigan State University, US, second deployment in Romania, third deployment in Norway, in Stavanger, fifth deployment in Châteauroux, France, and now we have on road Belgium, Dubai, and we have one more in Turkey in the Presidential Palace.
So we're going on this autonomous ride. I see the driver, but he's not doing anything. It's going around the corner. I feel quite comfortable. And there's somebody, a passenger, in front of us. Oh, he's basically stopping. Yes, and the bus is stopping for the passenger who basically crossing the road. And this is quite a smooth ride. The bus is going at a maximum of 35 kilometers in normal conditions, and at the end of the year they will reach 50 kilometers an hour. Even though it's level 4 autonomous, the driver has a bunch of interventions. What are the biggest difficulties with autonomous level 4?
Well, first of all, to decide the sensor stack, and then to analyze the behavior of traffic participants.
But the biggest problem is people, I presume. People who are in traffic.
That is it. And what we do is basically we train the bus to obey the rules. If the other participants, they do not obey the rules, then we have interventions.
I think we should catch a bus. Let's go. We're going. All right, so Vincent is crossing the road. Ooh. Well, it does break. It does break. So Vincent just crossed the road and the bus stopped immediately. So I guess it works. It was a bit abrupt, but...
So how did it feel when I jumped in front of the bus?
Well, I thought that something was wrong, but actually you are okay, so I think it was okay.
What is the advantage of autonomous driving for level 4 compared to a driver?
At the moment, we have the driver, but let's talk about driver costs. In United States, 5 drivers are calculated for one bus covering 24-hour services in holidays, vacations, day and night time. Yeah. So driver cost is $270,000 in United States.
If you can find the people who want to drive the bus.
Exactly, this is one of the issues. In Norway, it is 360,000 euro for driver cost. By reducing the number of drivers, we'll get a system more in using operations.
Okay. It works.
What did you think?
It works. It felt a bit scary to see him like this, just relaxing and see the steering wheel go by itself. But eventually, yeah, well, it was a seamless ride. Well, there goes my dream to become a bus driver.
That's it. Dave is never going to be a bus driver. Yeah, so autonomous will be the next big step, and in terms in combination with electric, it's fantastic. Okay, well, first I'm very grateful to the Dutch government because I went to Las Vegas to Comdex, and they had a pavilion like this, and it was wonderful to go there. I got so much support. Then I went to Russia and started software development, also with the Dutch government. So I think these pavilions are amazing. And I just wanted to ask Edwin, you've been now part of this Dutch pavilion and this organization that you just come here and everything is done for you. What do you think of it?
I think it's really fantastic. We couldn't have done this ourselves.
No.
With all these people, with the Netherlands supporting so many satellites, with all our colleagues over here, taking in all information and look at the stand. It was so crowded. Everybody is over here. Everybody knew how to find the Netherlands.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah. And I think that's wonderful. Well, and there's a whole bunch of people behind it. And Els Rutten, you're the main organizer, but you have a nice team of people. You've been taking really good care of us, make a beautiful booth, extraordinarily clear. Everybody knows the Netherlands. How long have you been busy with organizing this?
Yes, thank you, Vincent. Well, first of all, no, of course I haven't done it by myself, so I'm very grateful for the help of all my colleagues who are, some have already left, but yeah, thanks to all of them. We have been working on this project actually since February already, so it took us quite a while. But we wanted to start early because we wanted to get as much out there as possible to make sure that as many companies as possible could join us.
And you got a lot.
Yeah, we got a lot. The goal was actually to get around 20, and we ended up with 40. So that's great. So that means that in total, we have organized this together as the Netherlands Enterprise Agency with 9 other organizing partners. And then in the end, 40 companies decided to join the pavilion. So that means that 50 organizations from the Netherlands are represented here.
Yeah.
So that, yeah, I'm quite proud.
Yeah, and not only a booth, but we also have a whole program. We have a separate big. The Avera people, they said this was the biggest side event with the most people and the liveliest discussion. So they were also very excited, and that was also put together by all the different people. So. Have you seen any other country pavilion being so active as the Dutch?
No. Short answer. No,
Yeah.
I'm not
Okay.
gonna talk other country pavilions down because, of course, as the Netherlands, we have a great EV sector, so that obviously helps. We have such an active sector. I mean, we don't produce cars, but we have software companies. We have so many different companies in the whole chain that's active within the EV field.
Yeah.
That it's very that's a very nice thing that we can bring the whole sector to Oslo in this case.
Okay.
And I think other countries can learn from us, but I think we can also learn from other countries. We all
Okay.
do our own thing.
All right. I want to thank Els and your team very much. I want to thank Edwin very much. And we'll be here the next time, and it will be even bigger and more exciting. So thank you very much. Then let's go to the second, very short program because it's going to be 40-second movie, and we need all the scientists to come over to the booth right now because that's our next subject. Autonomous driving, autonomous vehicles, vessels. And of course, in Norway, that's a very popular thing because they have a lot of water. Let's take a look, a very short time, to autonomous vehicles in Norway. From Norway, we have Heikki, and they are autonomous ferries. Ferries which are fully electric, of course. They charge themselves when they are in the docking position with wireless charging. 50 people can be on here, and they can be semi-autonomous or fully autonomous. They will come to the market this coming quarter, in quarter 4. And they will be doing it a lot cheaper and a lot more effective. So innovation from Norway. Okay, this was the shortest. This was the shortest of all. Yeah. So autonomous vehicles, and I think that is for vessels is really interesting because they can operate 24 hours at about half the cost. So that will be developing. So let's go scientific. And it's really, I feel very small, mentally and also physically, because I'm here joined with 3 scientists, and I know Auke Hoekstra, of course. And we have, let me see, we have Olaf and we have Maura, and we're going to talk about what happened here at the scientific part of the business. First, Maura, can I ask you, what kind of research are you, what kind of organization are you with, and what research do you do?
Yes, so I'm Mauro Salazar. I'm an assistant professor at Eindhoven University of Technology. and I'm also part of the Neon project that Auke is directing. And we do research together with my colleague Theo Hoffman on electric vehicles, how to design them, how to tailor their design to the specific application so they are as sustainable as possible. And we look at the entire fleets, but we also look, we zoom into individual components, which is what our PhD student, Olaf, is currently researching.
Okay, Olaf, tell us more about your research.
Right. Okay. I'll try to make it not as technical. So
that's been requested by a lot of people saying we have free scientists, and I say, can you ask simple questions because I'm really interested in details. But yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So say that we want to design the powertrain of an electric car, like the thing that makes it move forward. We can take out. We take a normal conventional car. We take out the fuel tank. We take out the engine. And we put it in a battery and an electric motor. But yeah. We know that that's most likely not going to be a very optimal car. Yeah. So where do we start? If you have a blank sheet of paper, how should the battery, the motor, and the transmission be designed?
From the ground up.
From the ground up, and I am devising models to optimize that.
Okay. You've been doing everything. I mean, you're very much known in the Netherlands as a person who's debunking on Twitter all the things which people say about electric vehicles, which are not true. But what are you really doing in your serious research time?
Exactly. Now I'm finally talking about my real work. Around here, which is I set up a research program at universities called Neon, where we basically make models mostly, but also do all kind of research to get us from fossil fuels to renewable energy as quickly as possible. And a large part of that is actually electromobility, which is also where I'm sort of from with Martin Steinberg, etc. And Mauro and Theo Hoffman and a lot of PhDs like Olaf, they're actually doing this work of basically making the next step of what you see all around you.
Okay, so let's talk about that, because I had we already had a talk with Gil Tal from UC Davis, and we were talking about how the European industry is extremely slow in accepting new things. The Japanese took their breakfast, then the Koreans took their lunch, and if they're not fast, the Chinese will take their dinner. I mean, do you have a feeling, you're from the University Eindhoven, which is very well integrated in the supply chain for the car industry. Are they listening? Are the OEMs in Europe listening to designing from the ground up and being efficient to the researchers?
Well, I will try to disagree, because coming from Eindhoven, the region is called Brainport, and there's a lot of innovation going on there. There's a lot of new companies also starting up. Probably Lightyear, and they're really
the students of the EU.
They were our students that
but
did
now
this.
The big company.
But the big companies,
150
people. They're looking for 150 people. They're growing like crazy.
So if you come to our region, you probably change your mind and see how much innovation. That's kind of natural that the Neon project was mostly born in Eindhoven.
But I want to know, you have a fantastic, innovative Brainport site. You have a lot of things to offer. Is the industry which needs to deliver those things, like the Mercedes, the BMWs, the Volkswagens, and a whole bunch of other companies, are they listening and also taking your input?
Yes, they are really starting to listen. Also, now they're even forced to listen since
that
a
helps.
couple of weeks, and that helps a lot.
They are forced to listen. How does that work?
This last decision from the European Parliament of only allowing the full electric vehicles to be sold in the near future is gonna shape a lot the future, and that's where we come in. We really need to help them.
So you're going to be really busy, because it's not only nice new things, new technology, innovation. Now it's the rule.
Yes,
and that will accelerate.
That always accelerates things a lot.
Olaf, when you now look around you, I'm sure you saw this truck, the Scania or something. And this is a whole new truck which comes delivered next year, but it looks like an old truck. Did you see it? And did they do it from the ground up, or do you think they need to make a couple of changes?
Well, of course, I don't know what they did under the hood, more or less. I hope they designed it from the ground up. But okay, it could be that from looking at it from the outside, aerodynamically speaking, it's still, might look the same as the old trucks. But then what's under the hood could be completely different, of course.
What do you think, okay?
Yeah, I think it's still an old truck. Yeah. Unfortunately.
Old system,
Unfortunately.
And they need to, but that's the truck. It takes a while before those insights which they have. It takes 10 years before it comes to it.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well,
that's
Maybe if I can add, it's fantastic to be here because this is one of the venues where you have the synergy. You have people from industry listening to our talks, coming to see our research, and we can have discussion with them and understand how to basically transform our outputs to outcomes and then ultimately impact society.
Because that's also, you talked about how it's nice to be around here and to not get scientific input, right?
Yeah, I mean, as a researcher, we're generally in our own office presenting papers and so on. It's very isolated, and here when you enter here, it really opens my eyes, like how much other stuff is actually going on.
Tell me about it. What did you think was the most interesting talk that you went to? You go like, wow.
Well, that's
wow.
That's a super
for
difficult
all
question.
three of you. I'll start with okay. You can think about it 20 more seconds.
I have no idea because I didn't follow any talks. I was all the time giving
Okay.
interviews.
Marvel.
For me, I found extremely interesting the session on electric flying that I attended lately. But I must say also the other talks were very interesting. I like the variety of topics and how much very different stakeholders are investing into making the future more sustainable.
Electrification's everywhere.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you
that's
find
really
a
nice.
talk you in your mind now?
Well, yeah, this morning was a very interesting talk about how can you make recommendations to cities to optimally distribute all the charging points in order to facilitate and accelerate the mobility transition. So I thought that was really interesting and really out of my own personal scope. So that was really widening my horizon.
Gentlemen, we need, next to the scientific research, we need to get the message out there to the European industry. And I hope you will push your research into the production because that's very needed. Thank you very much for coming to the Dutch stand and EV Studio Oslo. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, let's talk. We are going to come to an end, but I have a couple of nice things. And first, on the way towards Norway, when we came from Amsterdam, we saw the most amazing charging square. It was futuristic and it was beautiful. Let's take a listen.
So we just stopped at an amazing charging square in Denmark. It has about 30 fast charging spots where you can park your car and charge up. And the fun thing about this one is it has a whole natural vibe going. It's all wood, it's all green, so you can really enjoy. There are a lot of benches so you can meet people, talk about EV. And yeah, it's got a nice vibe going. So to conclude, one of the most impressive charging stations I've ever been at. And the most fun thing is, it's not just only functional anymore, but also for a bit of leisure, for the kids. How are you enjoying yourself? I'm doing great! Back to you, Vincent.
Yeah, so that was clever, and I think it's really an amazing place. Ellen, what did you think of it?
I thought it was really clever and I thought it was an amazing experience. But the next day I woke up and I looked at my bank account.
Yeah.
And I was shocked. I have paid almost 60 euros for 40 kilowatt hours. I mean, if you drive a normal gasoline car, it would have been way cheaper to come over to Oslo. I thought
That
it was
not so
outrageous.
clever. That was not so clever.
No,
That
it was
was not so
stupid,
clever.
we call it.
Okay, well, we're now for the last time here together with each other. So let's see what we learned here. And let's start with Robert. Look back on the last 3 days.
Yeah, what I found really remarkable is the number of international visitors we had in the Dutch room, where Dutch companies presented projects they were working on, panel discussions, etc. And there's really a lot of attention that the Dutch companies get and the business that we do.
I was proud to be Orange.
Yeah, we're proud to be Orange, really. And we are really an important player in e-mobility. Not only our companies, but also our scientists. There have been like 30 presentations from Dutch scientists, I think, in the scientific program, from Auke and other scientists here. And so we're really, it's like you feel a lot of energy here. Every year on the EVS, you feel more energy, there's more going on. And the Dutch are really doing very well.
Well, you've been coming here for a lot of times. But Dave has been here now for the first time. What was your What was your take back after a couple of days?
Well, the one thing I learned that I really liked was the whole megawatt thing, the megawatt charger, where we went there together, which I found fascinating because I didn't know a lot about kilowatt hours and megawatt hours until we made this trip. So that was fun to hear and find out about. I like the fact that there are cheaper cars coming, since that might work for me. And of course the Polestar. It was fun to actually, for the first time in my life, sit in the Polestar.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was just been a fun 3 days, and we talked to a whole lot of people.
You'll be very happy that there is going to be plug and charge. So you don't have to worry about it. You plug it in and it will work like a dream.
That sounds like a charm. Yeah, sounds good.
I mean, you
It
had
sounds
a lot
really
of
good.
trouble. I mean, every charging was a battle for you, huh?
Yeah, like all those Tesla drivers, they were in Copenhagen like 8 hours before us, and so it works for Tesla, but for other cars, it's still quite a struggle.
I think plug and charge is really the way to go, and the industry needs to implement it ASAP.
Exactly. I hope they do.
Ellen, you have been talking to all the international delegates of all the Association of Electric Drivers everywhere. Where are they?
It was so exciting because this was the first time we could actually meet. We have got, SVR, as Vereniging Elektrische Rijders. We are one of the initiators of the Global EV Alliance. More than 55 associations from 31 countries.
No
And
kidding.
we had all the people that were here in Oslo. We had a meeting. It was great. We exchanged all the ideas. I thought this was my favorite room because everyone just explained what they're doing to get, the normal EV driver informed. And we've got this nice event next week, Sturen bij de Buren, which is a national announcement of a new project. that we're-
Steering at the neighbors.
Steering at the neighbors.
Trying it out.
And
Yeah,
it was
at
so
the
nice
neighbors.
because we sort of tried it out. We said, what do you think about it? They thought it was brilliant. So I'm very excited about that one. And I liked another one because my colleague here, my dear colleague, he is one of the masters in information about regulation on multi-house dwelling situations. Big topic.
Pain in the butt.
Different regulations all over the place. And he was there in the Dutch room explaining it. There were all those people from different countries. They couldn't wait asking him all the questions. So I think, we as EV Drivers Organization, we're doing a great job as well.
Yeah. So we are we're very popular with the Dutch government, right? I mean, they always ask us of inputs of what the drivers are. But now we're going to have an international. We need to have an international voice at the table, at the European community, at the United Nations, because the voice of the drivers needs to be heard. And I think this was a big step in front of that. So, well, for me, I think it's really, electric cars is really just continuing. That's just a question of just finishing off what has started. It's not a big. There's new models, etc. Charging, easy, reliable, and reasonably priced. That would be really nice. That is good. But trucks are big, and also I thought that flying electric was going to be interesting. So we also have the next step, which is interesting. I want to tell everybody, you've now seen here about 3 hours of live broadcast, but take a look at our playlist, because everywhere we have lots of detail. We have an hourly, half an hour interview about the CTO of a battery factory. We have all the electric cars are much more detailed, and we have about 25. We have things like the automated vessel, which we have in 5 or 6 minutes. So everything which we have to do here in 2 minutes, there's a lot of videos available to take a look at that. So I find it on the organization at evrijders.nl, but just Google it and you will find all our videos. Okay, guys, we're going to end it because we're over time. But Dave, what did you do to end it up?
Yeah, because I have my experience at the EVS35, but I figured I'd walk one last round through the halls and ask everyone what was the most creative, innovative, mind-blowing thing they've seen here. So yeah, we can take a look at that. So to conclude my adventure at the EVS35, I'm going to ask everyone I can find one simple question. What is the most impressive thing you saw here? Let's go.
On the car side, it was fun to be a part of the press launch of VinFast yesterday, a Vietnamese electric car that they're showing in Europe for the first time here at EVS35. But I also think it was cool to listen to politicians on stage.
So I tend to be less about the brightest, shiniest object and more about what's really going to establish the foundation and spread the word and get more people to be willing to adopt.
I think one of the most interesting things is the autonomous charging. charging without any manual intervention. So if you go for autonomous driving, if you go for autonomous parking, if you have, let's say, safety issues where you cannot leave the car, then these autonomous charging solutions are very helpful, and they look very mature and very intelligent.
The most surprising thing, and I'm not sure I quite believe it yet, is the possibility of charging batteries through induction. That could be a real game changer.
So, Lawrence, colleague and roommate, your first EVS. I've talked about it all day long before we went here. What was the most surprising, mind-blowing, innovative, creative thing you've seen here?
Well, for me that was the drone, the human-sized drone, where you can it has a place for 2 people.
I've seen this VTOL from XPeng in the room next to us. And nobody expects it to be airborne in the next couple of years, but the Chinese, they say next year it will be in Sweden. So we will see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, just, even just being here in this exhibition, you see, the electric buses, the electric backhoe, excavation equipment. You're seeing this sort of proliferation of applications of electric drive. And this is one of the nice things about batteries and electric drive is they're very adaptable to all of these various use cases. This is where, the technology has sort of now come to a level where it is ready to be deployed across all of these applications at scale.
For myself, I already work with AVs right now. We have heavy duty trucks, and I think what surprised me the most was how close they are to having the megawatt charging system in place.
But will it be like the same way you laugh at 100 MB MP3 players right now? Will it be the same with megawatt chargers that we would laugh at 50 kilowatt hours charging?
I definitely think so. Like our truck started with 200 kilowatt batteries, and in the span of 2 years, they're at 550. So I have no doubt that by 2030, we'll have like 12, 30, 50 megawatt battery capacities that'll be like unmatched.
We are focusing on nature, and no other stand is any similar to our booth, and we could put this sustainability and nature on the front, and we attracted many visitors. I think that is something we are proud of.
So making sure nature is taken into the equation of the world of EV.
What was most surprising to me, there's a lot of electric excavators, so for construction works. And in the Netherlands, especially governments trying to do more and more on zero-emission construction, like road construction or building construction. And here in one hall, they had like 4 or 5 different excavators, all electric. So I think that's very promising.
I think construction. There's a lot of construction vehicles that are now electrified, and that's really exciting because I think that's an untapped market, and excited to bring that knowledge back to the United States.
So Ellen, the EVS35 is almost over. What was the most innovative or creative or mind-blowing thing you've seen here?
I've seen many things. I mean, there's so many new batteries, new cars, bigger charging infrastructure. But what struck me the most is the narrative. I think we're about to change the narrative on EV because this is a very geeky exhibition, with, more power, more kilowatt hours. But what I think is that, the real story is that we need to electrify the world because, it's disturbing our lives, it's disturbing our cities. So I think the new narrative should be, it's not a technical geeky thing, but we have to really make it bigger for the third world countries, for the less deprived areas. We should have electric buses there. We should make our cities cleaner. So I think the narrative should change into this more global, accessible EV.
So are you ready for the trip home?
I'm so ready for the trip home, but you know what? I'm flying home. I'm so sorry, I'm flying home.
We'll bring your car home.
You are bringing my car home. I'm bringing myself home with the plane, yeah.
All right, we'll see you next year in Sacramento.
Sacramento.
Bye.
Wow, Ellen, you're flying home? What is this? We're coming together and I have to fly. I have to basically go all alone.
Yeah.
And you're flying home.
I know, I'm ashamed.
No, you're not ashamed.
Okay.
Ellen, I want to thank you very much. You've been incredibly putting this together. Your enthusiasm, your kindness, and your kind words for everybody kept on going. I want to thank Dave and the whole team behind it very much because we were during the day, we were very busy, but then you had to go and basically cut and paste and make the most beautiful. And we had also this from late at night. We got all these messages. There's a video ready. Thank you very much for working very hard. And Robert, thank you very much. And all these people who have helped us with scouting all the things. So thanks for this group. But also I want to thank the RVO and Amsterdam very much for making this possible. Yeah,
Yeah.
RVO in Rotterdam. Or?
Rotterdam. We have to think Rotterdam.
Right.
Rotterdam.
The RVO and Rotterdam, which got a prize very much for making this possible, because and all these companies are so happy to be in the Dutch pavilion. So I think that was really wonderful, and the whole team behind it with Els who made this work. So we'll be back the next time, I'm sure. Please take a look at all the other videos which are available. If you're interested in charging, in trucks, in all the new EVs, or in autonomous driving bus or vessels, we have a lot more coming for you. Thank you for being here, and we'll see you next time. And we're going back by car.
My car.
By car. See you
Electric
then.
car.